Hello everyone, and welcome to The Construct. Welcome once more. My name is Uphilile Gani Mpemba, and we are doing this. So we are now moving on to how to navigate yourself in the market. So in order for you to be able to know what the entry points are and what the market is like, you need to know what the conditions are. You need to know who are the key players in the market, how you are going to position yourself, how you're going to navigate yourself. So that's basically it. Now, what is the construction market? What is it right now? What are the factors that are influencing it? Who are the people that are influencing the construction industry? So that's basically what we're doing this episode. What is the construction industry? Okay, I'll give you a bit of background, just to not some background, but just the industry in itself. Just right now, it's basically the government had promised that they are going to spend in infrastructure projects. Obviously that didn't happen. The market was projected to grow 6.1% in 2019, and obviously that didn't happen because COVID literally hit us right bam in the face. So obviously without those without the government spending and into infrastructure projects, the public side of tendering and the public side of just the market, the construction market, is really kind of limping right now. Big companies, big construction companies have really kind of just died, and that's because there's no money circulating. And you need to understand that this market doesn't only just, it's not like other industries where you can, it's an isolated market. Our market dives into a lot of other market that it feeds, like the financial sector that finances the construction market, the mining sector that comes into the construction market, because without construction then there can't be any mining. So obviously, like the market doesn't only just feed us in construction, it also feeds into other industries. So obviously when you look at the market from like a bird's eye, then like the different type of players. So you'll get the government institutions who can commission the work but can't necessarily do it themselves. So those would be your municipalities or your SANROLs or whatever. So they need to contract it out in order for the construction to happen. So they would then get an engineer or an architect, then to kind of design or figure out the layout of this is what needs to be done, or this is a bridge that needs to be done, or this is a building that needs to be done. We are commissioning it out for it to be designed. Then obviously the contractors will come in, because you'll get designs or architects, and then the contractors will come in to say, okay, cool, they're actually doing the built work. And then from there it also feeds into that's where your contractors also have engineers there, and then also jumps on into the yellow equipment, your plant hire, your machinery, and then it also jumps into construction material supply, because obviously in order for the build part to happen, there has to be supply of material. So there's an ecosystem of people that are within that project or make that project possible in order for it to happen. Yeah, you kind of have to figure out where you want to fit in. You can fit in from an entrepreneurial aspect. Maybe you'd want to enter it from a supply point of view. You want to be a construction material supplier. So obviously from that view, you kind of need to look up on the chain. Okay, cool. Above you is the contractor, the engineer, and the government body or that has commissioned the project. And where is it that you want to kind of slot your materials in order obviously to influence decision at the bottom? The same way that as an engineer, then you'd actually have to, as an engineer in a project management point, then you look for your who are the contractors that are around, what is it that they do, what's your expertise, and obviously from a design point of view, what are the consulting companies that are designing projects. And so it depends on where you are kind of fitting into the whole ecosystem of things. If you understand the way that everything works, then you understand how you kind of fit in and what are the strategies going into it. So basically this channel, I'm not saying that I'm going to make you rich, but we are obviously trying to get to a point where we understand it better. So like from my perspective, I come from a manufacturing space, and from that space it was supply. And the one thing that obviously that I learned from there is actually understanding the ecosystem and understanding what strategies that you can use as a supplier or as a manufacturer or as a distributor, because now you are at the bottom level of the chain, and you kind of have to influence so many other people on top of the project that have power over what you are going to supply or what you are distributing. So obviously that's how you when you think about navigating that market as a supplier, then you have to look at it differently. But what I wanted us to discuss, and what I wanted us to kind of dabble on, is the fact that we need to understand that we are not just trying to be tenderpreneurs. That's not the point of this is not why the channel was born. I wanted us to think over and above just being tenderpreneurs and just relying on government spend in order for your company or for whatever that you're doing for it to work. Because, like, for instance, now you may ask, oh, okay, Pilile, you're saying that there's not a lot of government spending towards infrastructure, but why is it that I'm seeing a lot of construction happening? Because besides the little that is happening from in terms of like your sand rolls and everything, there's a bulk of projects that are on a standstill, that are not coming out because government does not have the money to be punting out. So that's when we rely on the private the private sector. Those people don't care about your requirements. They don't care about your BE status. It depends on the relationships that you have kind of forged within the contractors that you know, the engineers that you know, because they are going to be bidding for other private projects which are not going to be coming out on e-tenders or anything like that. So we want to create strategies that are not going to give you just capacity within the public space, but also in the private sector. And in order for you to be able to compete within the private sector, because now you don't want just to rely on just the government, the government projects, that requires you to have a strategy in terms of your company. So as a company, what am I doing? What is it that I do better than the other contractor? You are not just, okay, so you level 1, so what? 1,000 other companies. I can open a company today and be level 1. So what is it other than the fact that you are black owned, you are woman owned, you are disabled, or your price is great? Yeah, that is like a riding factor obviously in this industry, but we're also trying to move it out of just it being so price central to a point where we need to also look into other factors of the contractors that are emerging and the suppliers that are emerging. What is your competitive advantage? What is it that you lay bricks in a strategic manner, or your systems are better in terms of your output is quicker, you are able to really work, you are able to source projects or source construction material at a cheaper rate, which makes your production cost or your project cost very low. So find what is it that you, as a contractor, as a supplier, as an engineer, what is it that use a different type of system in terms of whatever design systems that the system gets a greater output, or there has to be something that you do that is better than our competitors. And in order for us to create sustainability and to create brands, we have to effectively be able to communicate that, not just on a paper and on a tender, but actually in what we put out. And that's obviously where your market companies come in, and your market consultants that are going to be able to obviously move you towards that towards what you are trying to communicate. The whole thing of just having a website, slapping some things on your mission, your vision, and your objectives, that will not help you build a brand. That's not you creating a brand. Creating a brand is constantly creating effective messages to reach your community, to reach your audience. And then in order for you to understand that, you need to know who your audience are. You need to know what they take, how they tick, and how is it that you can reach them better. The great thing now with emerging contractors, with emerging contractors and the people that are coming into the industry, is that we are digitalized, and we have better systems to reach your valid client. And in valid client, we mean like your intended audience. So whether your intended audience, would you be reaching your sand rolls in order to get to be part of that community there, and part of with other contractors, with other engineers, with other suppliers. whether it would be to target your engineers because you want them to be able to specify your products on their projects. You've got a new product out that is doing amazing things. Like for instance, this really cool product called Concrete Canvas, right? And it literally has such a great competitive advantage in as much as it's more expensive than other concrete products. What they do is they minimize the time that you spend on site. So instead of having to put concrete and waiting for it to dry, it's just literally concrete blankets that you kind of just spray on and it dries up, and then it kind of just latches onto that structure, or like it consummates itself within that structure. So obviously that is, in terms of time on projects, a lot of contractors are looking for that, when a lot of engineers are looking for that, when they are specifying in terms of just project cost versus time, because it's not just about cost. Sometimes your audience or your contractor or your engineer is on a time budget or is a time constraint. So in order for you to be able to get to a point where you are appealing to the right people, and you are appealing to the right people in the private sector, you have to understand yourself better. Before you understand yourself better, you have to know yourself better, and you have to kind of find a solution of what you do that is not being done in the industry right now. So that's what I wanted to touch on this episode, just for us to kind of get us thinking, to get us to a point where we are not just looking at construction from a base of just tendering, but just looking at creating brands. And I want to start that conversation, and I want to start us actually giving our different perspectives on the market. So what I did was real-time responses to your questions. Before I even get there, thank you for all the love. Like, I see the DMs, the people that are constantly coming to my DMs and telling me, they love the way that I share, they love what I'm doing. A lot of questions from people who have more questions about obviously the videos that we are doing, but from a sense of they want to elaborate, or they are kind of taking a left. So obviously I still want to have those conversations, and I want to do it in real time. So I've kind of divided, I'm kind of going to structure my content in two ways. I'm going to do it, I'm going to have your Whiskey Wednesdays, which is where I'll just be dissecting all your questions from your DMs, from here on YouTube, from just all the questions that I receive on a daily basis. And then I'll just go there, maybe do quick 3 questions every week, so at least we'll get that. We'll be doing those responses in real time, because you don't want me to be you don't want to be waiting for the next video that I post, or if it's not also in my content structure, it's going to take a while for me to get there and to kind of put it into a certain type of video that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be doing Whiskey Wednesdays. Whiskey Wednesdays are where I'm just going to be bashing out all your questions about the industry, all your questions about how do you do this, or your mentorship programs, or how do you navigate certain spaces, or like there are certain questions that I've been receiving that I want to bash out from just answering questions and not just on YouTube. So I'm just literally going to be drinking my favorite whiskey for the week, and kind of dissecting your questions and getting to a point where we try and understand and we try and unpack. And obviously I'd love your input as well. So I'm not an island. My everything that I say on this channel is from a perspective, so it's not going to encompass everything all at once. And that's why obviously we're a community where you are also able to share a bit of what you've experienced, and then we kind of have a conversation about that, which is the whole point of this channel. So basically we are diving into a different segment, a different perspective, a different angle, and a market angle. So thank you for coming on to this episode. I hope that I have helped you in some way, shape or form. Don't forget to like. I love seeing the like. Obviously I like seeing the likes. I love seeing the likes, but also like the love, just to know that I'm not crazy. I'm not losing my mind, and what I'm doing is actually helping some people out there. I love the comments. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the DMs. Please keep it coming. Now we are in the hundreds. I didn't think that we'd get this far. Not this far, because this far, dude, like, let's appreciate this far, because I wasn't really doing this for the numbers. I was doing it more just to kind of just build a certain community, which is something that I'm passionate about. So welcome to my corner office again, and I will see you on our next episode. My name is Upili Legani Mpemba, and you are watching The Construct.